Welcome to another episode of Head to Head Sports. I'm Brian Parker here with my co-host, Mr. Randall Hargrove. How you doing, sir?
What's going on, Mr. Parker?
And I can't call it another day, another dollar, or a couple
We're
pennies.
inching closer to about that time, ain't we?
Woo! Can you smell it, man?
I could smell it.
Man. Oh
Close
my
enough to
gosh,
smell.
you are right. It is getting close. We are almost within 24 hours of kickoff of game one, maybe a little bit more than that. But 24 hours later, you should at least know if you're ordering wings and if you've got the beer actually on ice. So good time to go ahead and check that off your list to make sure that you got those things ready. Got my Yingling
Right.
and Coronas ready, whatever your taste is.
I was just about to ask what you sipping on.
Man, well, I like to start out a little easy first, and then I jump onto my liqueurs and my other libations.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm definitely ready to see some. Well, let's just be honest. I'm gonna see an ass whipping tomorrow. That's a good way to get it started. When they talk about the Thursday night season opener game, you would definitely expect the Super Bowl champions to be playing in it. What you necessarily doesn't expect is that a team that didn't even win their division. They didn't win last year. They didn't win the division, did they? No.
No, they did
Really
not.
Yeah, they didn't win the division. Why are they playing in a primetime football game? Oh, I forgot. They're America's team. I thought America was about being winners. I'm not hitching myself to losers. But anyway, I'm Brian Parker. This is Randall Hargrove. This is Head to Head Sports. We are live. That's right. So what that really means is that if you're watching, and thank you for watching, I see we do have some viewers, and you want to be able to chime in on anything that we're talking about, or you got any comments or anything else, just put them in that comment box. I'll definitely see it, and I'll read it on the air. If you want to chime in actually on the show, like you want me to bring you in, I can certainly do that as well. Just send in the comment and I will send you a link. And you can do that. Now, I'm not going to bring you in for the whole show, but if you want to come in and ask us a question or talk about your team and what you think they're going to be able to do this year, we certainly don't mind doing that. But yeah, so the last three shows we have reviewed two divisions every week, and now we are down to our final two, which would be the NFC North and the AFC South. The first week we started with the AFC North and the NFC South, so we're balancing it out this week. And then we went from the NFC East and the AFC East, and then we went to the AFC West and the NFC West last week. So this week we've got a couple of teams to talk about. And what we're also going to try to do is come up with our AFC conference champion, our NFC conference champion. So that would mean that those two representatives would see each other in the Super Bowl, and let's have some fun with it, like we did last September, and try to predict what's going to happen 4.5 months from now in February. I think it'll be fun. So without further ado, sir, first and foremost, I'm sorry, I'd like to send our thoughts and prayers out to the family of David Patton, former New England Patriots player that was tragically killed in a car crash here in South Carolina just a few days ago.
What? I did not hear that.
You didn't? Oh, you did not.
Wow.
David Patton caught Tom Brady's first and only pass in that Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Wow. Is gone. Motorcycle. Motorcycle crash in South Carolina.
Wow, man. Yeah, definitely prayers out to him and his family. Wow.
Yeah.
Seems like every day we're losing somebody. It's so sad.
Man, it really does. It really, really does. So, that's why I'm telling y'all all this bickering and stuff over whatever. It ain't no time for it. That's why I'm so glad to see sports back. Just on a separate note, we're broadcasting here in the Charlotte area. And this past weekend, if you were in downtown Charlotte, you saw more people than normal just crawling around. There was some something about a football game with Clemson and Georgia going on at Bank of America Stadium where the Panthers play. Man, I ain't seen so much orange and red, just tailgating and everything else. It was so beautiful to see so many people out tailgating, everybody just, breaking bread and stuff like that. Listen, this game started at 7:30. I strolled through downtown at 11:30 in the morning and people were already freaking tailgating. They were serious. That's a long time to tailgate, y'all. You may not remember the game. You tailgate that long.
Yeah, my band played a show down there this past weekend, and you talk about limited parking. Good God Almighty, man!
Dude, I saw parking like spot, 5 miles away for $40.
If you had a parking spot, you better glue your car to that parking spot.
And then later that night, I came back through and I saw all the people that shouldn't have parked where they parked, and I saw boots and tow trucks.
Yeah, they weren't making
money, man. That was crazy, and that was an interesting matchup. The Dukes Mayo Classic. That was an interesting matchup because those were two top 5 teams playing each other for the first game of the season.
Yeah.
And Georgia did win the game. They only scored a touchdown off of the defense, so neither team had an offensive touchdown in that game. It was a heck of a game from a defensive standpoint. If you're about defense, that was a good game. Clemson's quarterback got sacked like 7 times. So that was a decent game from that standpoint. If you like a lot of points, maybe that just wasn't going to do it for you.
I'll tell you what, yeah. I know we're supposed to be talking pro sports, but can the ACC get off to any worse of a start?
Oh, bro, I knew you were going to say that, and I totally agree with you. That is just some man, listen, I was driving, and I saw that Virginia Tech Carolina score come up on my phone, and I almost ran off the road. I kid you not. I was so mad. I was so freaking mad. Yeah, them, Florida State, I mean, everybody just looks like straight garbage right now. And I know it's the first game, and, you're all about, well, you don't want to read too much into one game, but I'm sorry. It's not about whether you lose. Sometimes it's how you lose. Especially when you've been hyped up to be this offensive powerhouse and stuff like that, and you can barely score a touchdown. So, yeah, I'm not believing the hype. Don't believe the hype at all. But, yeah, the ACC is not looking really good right now. They might want to join another conference. That might just have to happen. Oh, anyway, so we do have our NFC to get to. First on the set is going to be the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay does now know who their quarterback is going to be. That was a little uncertain during the summer when Aaron Rodgers had made it clear that he did not want to play for the Packers anymore. And it took a lot of arm twisting, cajoling, contract restructuring to get him to commit to this year and only up till this year. So the way they restructured his contract basically gives him an out for next year. And that may give Green Bay time to really figure out, is Jordan Love really going to be your starter next year? But Green Bay finished last year at 13-3. Of course, there's 17 games this year. They did win their division by a lot. The next closest team was Chicago with the Foles-Trubisky experiment at 8-8, and then of course Minnesota finished 7-9, Detroit 5-11. So Rand, they've got no questions really at quarterback. Of course, like I just said, Jordan Love is going to be the backup. Your running back is going to be Aaron Jones, and looks like A.J. Dillon's going to back him up. Then you got your stud receivers, Devontae Adams, MVS, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and then Alan Lazard, who doesn't really get a whole lot of talk, but that became one of Aaron's favorite targets. And also his tight end, Robert Tonyan, is also one. He's still got Mercedes Lewis as a second tight end as well. What do you see happening with the Packers this year?
First of all, before we get deep into the Packers, can you really believe Aaron Rodgers? Is there another quarterback in the league that holds and wields the power over his team like Aaron Rodgers does? I mean, you're talking about a diva, man. He basically comes out in the press conference and has.
I was about to say that, yeah.
Yes. to say they were not valuing my opinion. So now that they're valuing my opinion, which was to go out and get me a wide receiver, I'm good playing, at least for another year. What other quarterback in the league has
And
such
started
power?
naming all the players that he felt like they did dirty. I mean, he aired everything out because normally press conferences are very measured, where they
Right.
a lot of times you want them to say that, but they won't, and they give you all that locker room talk. Well, it's all about the team first, and no one man's bigger than the other, and this and that and the third, and you're just going, oh my God, spare me this, spare me this. This fool gets on in front of the camera and just lets it rip, and he ain't holding back. He don't give a damn who in the Packers organization is watching this press
No,
conference.
and the Packers
He's
organization
giving
did absolutely nothing.
he's giving the timeline. Okay, from here to here to here to here, and I'm just like, oh wow, like did he take some truth serum before this thing? Because did they know he was going to
Power,
say all
man.
this?
Woo. It's like Wonder Woman had him tied up with the magic
With the
lasso.
lasso, and he was just like, all right, here you go. You ain't lying. I watched that thing like 3 times laughing because the level of honesty was just, it was refreshing and scary, and it told me who was really holding everything.
I'm
See,
telling you.
but he tried to make it sound like it wasn't so much about the fact that they went and got Jordan as it was that they were not valuing his input and that they had let people go and not unceremoniously.
Yeah,
So things like that, and he felt like if he had his input, maybe some of those guys could have stayed, and maybe that could have got them further into the playoffs and stuff like that. But
yeah.
yeah,
It's just
his honesty was crazy.
been a very long time since I've seen a quarterback kind of wield that GM power. But I mean, it's Aaron Rodgers. I mean, they would not have gotten where they got last year without Aaron Rodgers, and they definitely would not have that Super Bowl back in 2011, 2010 if it wasn't for Aaron Rodgers. So he is who he is. I see the Packers as going pretty deep in the playoffs. Like you said, a lot of the people that you named are back. And plus, one of his favorite wide receivers is now back in Randall Cobb. I
Yeah,
know Randall Cobb is dancing tears of joy that he was plucked out of Houston and now he gets to be reunited with his boy again, one
yeah,
of Aaron Rodgers' favorite targets underneath. That offense could be something unstoppable. With the names that you just mentioned, you got Devontae Adams, you got
mhm,
Alan Lazard, and now Randall Cobb running around in that field with Aaron Jones panning it through the middle,
mm,
and Aaron Rodgers, of course, taking the reins of it all. Look out for the Pack, man. I got
yeah.
them sitting number one as far as the NFC North. I don't see anybody even coming close or sniffing them.
Same, same. Yeah, and everybody with short-term memory. Let me just remind you of Aaron Rodgers' last seen on the football field. 1 yard shy of 4,300 yards, 48 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. That is 6 Jameis Winston seasons. I'm sorry. He'd have to do that in 6 seasons to beat Jameis Winston in 1 season. I said it wrong. Okay. So when last seen, 48 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. Now, some people are going to say, well, Brian, he throws the ball away a lot. Hey, how about that? A quarterback that throws the ball away when he don't have nothing down the field. How about that? So people would always say that to me, and I would just look at him and go, well, what the hell else is he supposed to do? Force it? He threw for
You're right.
4,300 yards, so it wasn't like he wasn't taking advantage of opportunities. But when he didn't see nothing, he didn't force it into triple and double coverage and then risk interceptions. When you can protect the ball, then you have a better chance of winning the game. He understands that. If I don't have nothing, I'm not going to push it. Now that I have one of my favorite targets in Randall Cobb back, man, you are now giving him a whole lot more weapons to play with. If his offensive line can hold up and give him at least 4 or 5 seconds, he is going to pick you apart. He has a pass catching tight end. He has backs that can catch it out of the backfield for checkdowns. He's got the receivers that you name. The defense, they're going to play a base 3-4. That's going to be interesting. They're going to try to get a lot of pressure on the quarterback with just the 3 front. Then they've got some decent safeties as well. So, yeah, I definitely have them number 1 in the NFC. And as we get into the show, we'll see how far we think they're going to actually take it past the NFC North. So totally agree with you on that. Moving over to your favorite team, the Chicago Bears, that no longer have Mitchell Trubisky, as his services have been taken over to Buffalo. Nick Foles is still there, but he is there as the 3rd string quarterback behind Justin Fields and the for now starter, the Red Rocket, Dak's former backup, Mr. Andy Dalton. Now, this was interesting because in the offseason when they did acquire Andy Dalton, without any training camp or any competition whatsoever, they self-anointed him to be the starter, which I don't think that should have been the conversation. I think the conversation should have been, hey, Andy, we'll give you a chance to start, but we may be looking for a quarterback in the draft. So depending on how that goes, we'll see how it goes. They didn't have any of that kind of conversation. They just basically said, based on the performance we saw in Dallas, no, hopefully that wasn't it. But for whatever reason, they just said, you know what? This is your team. And I don't understand. So Andy Dalton, Justin Fields, Nick Foles, quarterbacks. David Montgomery is going to be your starting running back with Damian Williams behind him, which is really good. It's crazy because Tariq Cohen is listed as the 4th running back, even though he's out right now. But then you still have Allen Robinson as a receiver. You got Perryman as his backup. You got Darnell Mooney as the other receiver with Damiere Byrd behind him. And then you got Marquise Goodwin as the 3rd receiver. You got Cole Met as the tight end. If they run a 2 tight end set, then you have Jimmy Graham out there as well. And a nice addition, too, is at left tackle, you have the 87-year-old Jason Peters coming over from the Philadelphia Eagles. He's been there forever. And he is finally with a new team. I don't know if it's going to be any different results, but Jason Peters is one of the best left tackles that's been out there. So what do you see with Chicago?
Well, was one of the best left tackles out there. Right now, I think some patchwork going on that offensive line. And it's, I think they're throwing the Red Rider out there as their sacrificial lamb to take all those bumps and bruises while they get that patchwork offensive line down pat so they can bring Justin in there and he could keep his head on his shoulders without being blasted like we saw in the preseason. So good luck, Mr. Dalton. You're really going to need it behind that offensive line. I see they went out and they got themselves in the draft. Who did they get? Tevin Jenkins, Oklahoma State or something like that. Mm-hmm. Got him in the 2nd round. I did not have him slated as a 2nd round. That feels like a reach to me. So he may be sharing some time there with.
Well, I got some news about Mr. Jenkins. Mr. Jenkins is currently on injured reserve.
Oof.
So I don't know if that's going to be the 8-week IR or if that's for the season. But just 5 days ago, he was placed on injured reserve.
So you're telling me that
they're really light at left tackle.
The tackle they went out and got in the draft to address their weak offensive line is now out.
Out.
Oh, man. That hurts. That hurts. Yes. That really hurts.
So the fact that a 39-year-old left tackle is starting really says a lot about your left tackle position.
Yeah, that offense is I just see that offense struggling. Even though they got a slightly better quarterback in Dalton, you have to have a better quarterback than what they had last year. But I just see them struggling. They got Allen Robinson, who surprisingly caught over 100 passes last year.
Somehow.
How he did that, but he did. The other options at wide receiver, They might as well be you and me running around out there.
Right. Can't hurt.
Yeah, that offensive line is just trash, man. And even though they got one of the, I think, is a very good running back in my man David Montgomery, powerful guy, scratches for every inch that he can get.
Yeah.
But he's kind of being thrown to the wolves and ran at a waste right now because just how porous that offensive line is. Chicago had a lot of trouble moving the ball last year. They had a really good formidable defense last year, but they were always on the field because the offense couldn't score any points.
3 and out.
So they got worn down. Yep, they got worn down because they were always out there. You got a quarterback that couldn't convert on third down, and therefore you have offensive struggles. Kind of see the same thing happening again this year. I see a lot of big sacks being given up and taken by Dalton, which is going to put him in a lot of third and longs. That defense is going to get worn down again this year. The outlook for Chicago, I don't have it looking too good, man. I don't. I originally had picked them. I don't know what I was thinking, but I picked them to go to the playoffs.
No, hell.
I'm backing off of that. Backing off of that. I'm sorry, Chicago fans. I'm backing off of that.
Yeah.
You have some real problems with offensive lines.
Well, listen, I'm going to help you back off of it really quick right now. Game one is at the LA Rams.
Oh, yeah, we're backtracking.
That's an L. Game two, they got to go to Cincinnati. Man, who knows? Game 3 is at Cleveland. That's an L.
Yeah.
Then the game 4 is at home against Detroit. And hell, I take Detroit before I take Chicago. I'm gonna be honest with you. Then they got to go out to Las Vegas. I'm gonna take the Raiders. Then they got to play Green Bay at home, and then they got to go to Tampa. Then they got to go back to the West Coast and play San Francisco. Then they got to play Pittsburgh on Monday night. Now, why they playing Pittsburgh on a Monday night football, that's a whole nother conversation. Why are you playing Pittsburgh on Monday night football? You're the Chicago freaking Bears. That I don't get. But that's the first 9 games. Los Angeles, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Detroit, Las Vegas, Green Bay, Tampa, San Francisco, and Pittsburgh. I see 1 or 2 possible wins in that. In the first 9 games, they could be 2-7.
It's going to be a struggle for them, no doubt. It's going to be a struggle for them, no doubt.
Hey, listen. The back 7 don't look good either. I mean, the back 8 don't look good either. Green Bay is in there. Arizona is in there. Baltimore is in there. Seattle is in there.
You can stop.
Dude, if they win more than 5 games this season, I will be shocked. I don't see 5 wins. I even see them going to New York and playing the Giants. Honestly, and I'm just not trying to dump the Bears. That's a losable game in New York. As long as Danny Dimes don't sit there and serve it up to the other team,
I always drink the Chicago Kool-Aid every year because of that powerful defense. But again,
Khalil Mack is just being wasted, man. They need to trade Khalil Mack. They need to stop doing that to this man. Before he just has nothing left, they need to at least send him somewhere where he has a chance of being relevant on a good defense. They're wasting him away. He's going to get all the stats and stuff possibly, but then again, not, because again, like you said, if the defense is constantly having to be out there, even the best of Khalil Mack, you're going to wear him out.
And that's what happened.
I don't know. Yeah, I got the Bears at the 5 and the 12. This year. They're gonna be crap. Speaking of unpredictable teams, we look at the Minnesota Vikings. You like that? And non-vaccinated Kirk Cousins is starting at quarterback. And so that really means that Kellen Mond, his backup, will probably insert into a few games. And then their third stringer is on IR. So right now they're only carrying 2 quarterbacks, which one of them has not been vaccinated. So if the other one is in the quarterback room with him during meetings and he pops positive, now you don't have no quarterbacks. I don't even know what the hell to make of this one, unless you got one hiding on the practice squad that you keeping away from everybody. Teams are doing that. Just to kind of break in, I read the whole thing about why the Cowboys took Will Grier, and it's because they just want to make sure that what happened to Denver don't happen to them.
Yeah,
Some people are carrying extra quarterbacks this year, but Minnesota has two, and one of them is letting you know without a doubt he ain't been vaccinated and he has no intentions of being vaccinated. So again, this is a situation where I'm talking about wasting players away, such as stud, grown man, Dalvin Cook. That's a grown man as your running back. Madison is his backup. Then you got Justin Jefferson, grown man at receiver. Adam Thielen, grown man. Not sure about KJ Osborne as the third receiver, but then you got Chad Beebe and Blake Prohl Prohl is on injured reserve too. So then you got Chad Beebe's on injured reserve. Boy, they are getting They don't have a lot of receivers.
No, kind of the same problem as Chicago.
Sweet Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh, that don't look good. And I mean, just having to depend on Kirk Cousins scares me. Kirk Cousins is like a poor man's Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Right.
He can show you flashes, but very rarely can he put a whole game together, much less a whole string of games together. So you'll see instances where you'll go, yeah, that was a good choice to get him. And then you'll see other reasons where you go, oh, God, just bring Nick Foles back. You'll say some mess like that. So you don't really know what to get with Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins stayed in Washington for so long because of that. They kept franchising him because they were like, he's all right enough to keep us at 8-8. So we can't really ever get a high enough draft pick to get a decent quarterback. So we might as well just keep Kirk because he's at least a veteran. He knows our system. We'll just franchise him instead of committing to or reaching like the Giants did with Daniel Jones with a sixth pick. We'll just keep him because we know what he is. And then they finally let that go. So he made a lot of money just getting franchised. And now he's with Minnesota, and he still really hasn't shown me that that's his team. I've never, ever, and I mean, even Stephon Diggs had to leave. Stephon Diggs said, I got to go somewhere else because I can't trust this dude to get me the ball. And now he's with Josh Allen, and he's getting the ball. So that worked out for him. But when you look at Justin Jefferson, who really came out strong last year, I think that was his first year.
Yeah, it was. Yep.
And he had 88 receptions for 1,400 yards as a rookie with no training camp.
Strong season. And
he got that from Kirk Cousins, who was a quarterback. That is insane. That's insane. Yeah. But this dude can take the top off, man. Adam Thielen, he was hurt a little bit last year, but he still had a decent season. He had 74 receptions, 925 yards, 14 touchdowns. Adam Thielen. So from a stat standpoint, they're going to do well. Speaking of touchdowns and stuff like that, I'd be remiss to mention that Dalvin Cook had 1,500 yards rushing and 16 touchdowns. So on paper, you look at running the ball in. And I remember some of them runs were very, very far away from the goal line. They just could not stop this man. Dalvin Cook and Derrick Henry are definitely going to be fighting for the rushing title. Hello, Ezekiel Elliott. I know you're still in the league. But it doesn't matter. They're going to be running for the rushing title. The problem, though, is with Minnesota, if they get behind, how much are they going to depend on the running back? Now, I know Cook can catch the ball out of the backfield for some checkdowns, but if you're relying on Dalvin Cook to keep you in the games, then that's going to say a lot about your quarterback. So not really up on Minnesota right now.
Yeah. Not really feeling them either. I mean, they can come this offensive powerhouse as we see at times. I got to give it to Kirk Cousins. He had a very good season last
He
year.
did.
35 touchdown passes, only 13 picks. That's strong numbers. Over
Mm-hmm.
4,000 yards passing.
Yeah.
Strong numbers. Can't kick that.
Yeah.
But here we go again with this year. Can he repeat that? And like you were saying, that's where we kind of run into the issues with Kirk Cousins. The up one season, down the other. So we'll see what happens for this year. He's definitely
Mm-hmm.
surrounded by some good weapons. When you got Dalvin Cook, where you can hand the ball off to, and all he needs is a little bit of space before he's house. Uh, that is somebody that is always going to help your offense. And
Oh,
with the pass catchers that they got out there as well, that two-headed monster in Thielen and Justin Jefferson now, I mean, it looks like pretty good numbers on the offensive side. A
yeah.
little bit better than the situation Chicago has going on. I see Minnesota went out and got themselves a Christian Dershaw for their left tackle. Very good left tackle, and a very good draft choice. That's going to help them tremendously and help the run game in the process as well. On the defensive side, they got to shore up a little bit. I see they went and got themselves Patrick Peterson, 57-year-old Patrick, still got some juice left in them legs, I guess. So we will see how that works out for them. But yeah, man, I
Yeah.
have.
And we know their coach. We know their coach is a defensive coach.
Uh-huh.
So his idea is going to be more control time of possession, field position, and everything else, and let the offense be an opportunistic offense. If they play within that, they can have a decent year. Decent year to me is going to be like a 9-8. If they get 9 wins, I'll be shocked because they've got Cincy opening in Arizona. They could win those 2 games. Then they got to go Seattle, Cleveland, Detroit, and then Carolina. So they could be 3-3 at the end of the first 6, or they could be 2-4.
Mm-hmm.
Then they got Dallas, Baltimore. They got both LA teams this year. They've got Green Bay, San Francisco, and Pittsburgh on the schedule as well. Of course, they got to play Green Bay twice. I don't see them winning either one of those. They may beat Chicago out both of those games, or they may split with them. They may split with Detroit. But none of that is going to give them over 9 wins. None of that. That means that's not going to be good enough for them to make the playoffs either. I honestly think that if you don't have at least 10 to 11 wins in the NFC, you're not going to go to the playoffs this year because there's just too many NFC teams that are going to win 11 and 12 games this year.
Yeah.
Because if Tampa wins 12 to 13 games, if San Francisco wins 11 to 12 games, if the
The
Rams
Rams. Yeah, don't
win
leave them out of that.
12 games, now you're talking about 4 other teams. Well, 2 or 3 of them teams are or just going. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot about Green Bay. Green Bay gonna win, so that's 4 right there.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're down to 3. 3 teams are gonna be fighting for those last few spots. So coming up with 9 wins ain't gonna do it for you. If you
No.
don't have a minimum of 10, you out of the conversation, and 10 might only help you if you tie it with somebody else, and maybe you beat them head to head, or you got a better strength of schedule. 9 ain't gonna do it, and I don't see any way that Minnesota, as talented as this offense could be, is going to be able to get more than 9 wins. Some of it's going to come down to schedules, and I just don't see it for them. So,
Yeah.
where do you have them as far as pecking order for the NFC North though?
9 wins feels just about right for your assessment. I mean, I agree. I see them no more than a 9-18, and that's not going to do it for playoffs. I think that will be better than the Bears. They might be slugging it out a little bit for that second place with the Bears, but I think they're going to take second from the Bears.
Me too.
So I got Packers, Vikings, Bears, third place, and let's go ahead and get to the cellar dwellers.
Woo! Okay. You might be able to talk me into this. I'm gonna look at their schedule real quick as we're talking. So the Rams seller is going to be the Detroit Lions, and they arguably came off a terrible season at, was it a 5-11? So yeah, that's all the makings of yeah, they just didn't get it done last year. They did have trade Matthew Stafford to the Rams, and Rams traded Jared Goff to the Lions. With that said, they're still the Lions. I don't think that was necessarily what Detroit was really missing. I don't think the quarterback position was the problem. You've got running backs, DeAndre Swift, Jamal Williams, as your running backs. You got Terrell Williams as a receiver. Don't know who that is. Amon Ross St. Brown as another receiver. I don't know who that is. Khalif Raymond as another receiver. I don't know who that is.
Don't they work at don't he work at Harris Teeter?
Yeah, he could. He very well could.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, he might. He just might. Now, T.J. Hawkinson as a tight end, definitely know him. Darren Fells as another tight end, I definitely know who that is. But yeah, they've got some, and they did get their draft pick, Penei Sewell at the right tackle position, which was a very nice addition to the team that will help Jared Goff be able to do a little bit more improvisation because if the line doesn't hold up, he's going to have to roll out to his right. So having Penei and sit there in front of you may actually be a nice thing. You're going to need him to help you take some of them blows as you running out of bounds off the side. That is going to help him a little bit to live. Is it?
You said to live.
Going to help him get the ball down? Khalif Raymond, Terrell Williams. I mean, I'm serious. Most teams, if I look at their receiving core, I can kind of tell you a little bit about their receivers. They don't have one receiver. Trinity Benson, what the hell is that? Quintez Cephas, Tom Kennedy. Tom Kennedy, man, he sound like somebody working at Apple, man. Like, who are these people?
They feel like guys that they pulled off the XFL. I mean, they got a team full of XFL folks. That's why I say the Lions are going to be cellar dwellers this year. First of all, these boys are led by Jared Goff. Jared Goff, to me, is not a leader.
No.
That's the reason, most of the reason he's out of LA right now and where he's at in Detroit.
And he had an okay year. I'm looking at 2020. He did do 39.52 in yards. He did throw 20 touchdowns, but he also threw 13 interceptions.
Yeah, 20 touchdowns in 16 games just ain't going to get it. And that's part of the reason why he's out. Yeah.
Yeah, because he's going to give you a touchdown a game and now a new, in this way. You got to do a little bit more than that, bro.
Yeah.
And
so
this is like his fifth year. So he's a veteran. Yeah, the light should be on. And I'm afraid, too, because there is no depth at all. They are carrying two quarterbacks. Their third quarterback is on IR. David Blough, Blough. Who?
I don't know, bro.
Okay, David Blough in 2020 threw for 49 yards and one pick. This is his third season out of Purdue. And he's only 6'1", 205 pounds. It's kind of short for a quarterback. I mean, not named Russell Wilson and Kyler Murray. So you got to be special if you're that short as a quarterback. Kyler and Russell, they can kind of make up for it because they're a little bit more dynamic, which I still ain't sold on Kyler as a side note, but still they have a little bit more dynamic in them. But if you're from Purdue, you're in your third year and you're 6'1", 205 as the backup quarterback for a professional football team. Yeah. So I agree with you, bro. We can just move on. I ain't gonna even look at their schedule because it's gonna it's gonna be well. Okay, I just looked at it anyway. Their first three games is San Francisco, Green Bay, and Baltimore.
You just stop right there. Just stop right there.
That's 0-3, and then Chicago and Minnesota. That's like 0-5, honestly.
Yeah.
Before they even have a crack at to go to Cincinnati, and honestly, I trust Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, and the boys up there more than I trust Detroit. Then they got Los Angeles. I think their first winnable game is Week 8 against Philadelphia, and I don't even know if that's winnable. I just think that that's their first possible winnable game. And then after that, it's Pittsburgh, then Cleveland, then Chicago again, then Minnesota. That's another 4 L's. Then they got to play Bridgewater in Denver. Okay, maybe, but probably not. That might be a win for Denver. And then they got to go to Arizona, Atlanta, Seattle, and Green Bay. Oh, they ain't getting more than 4 wins, man.
Ugly season. Ugly season.
Woo!
I keep using this term on your show called the cupboard is bare. The cupboard in Detroit is extremely bare.
All they had to show for the season is they drafted Sewell and they traded for Jared Goff. They ain't do nothing else.
No, they didn't. And they lost a ton of staples in their system. They lost Jamal Agnew. They lost Kenny Galloway, who was their number one third at wide receiver. They lost Kerryon Johnson, another good back that they had. They lost Marvin Jones, another good receiver that they had.
Wow.
They lost Adrian Peterson. I mean, I could go on and on and
That's
on.
true. All of that, yeah.
Matthew Stafford no longer there. So it feels like they are just stripping it down and starting anew in Detroit.
It sounded like to me like they positioning for some first-round pick for the next year's draft.
It will be them, the Jets, and Houston fighting for that number 1 spot.
And honestly, that's why I was thinking about with Chicago. If you're not going to really be in it, don't win no 9 games, because then you're going to end up with like the 12th or 13th pick, and you ain't going to be able to do anything with that.
Yeah.
You know, we had 4 quarterbacks taken in the first 12 or 13 picks this year, but that don't happen every year. So, you know, A, do you think Jared Goff is your guy beyond 2021, or is he just bridging the gap between his eventual successor? And if that's the case, the only way you're going to be able to get to that successor if you win a bunch of games is you're going to have to trade up for a higher pick. Now, if you only win 4 games, then yeah, you've got a chance, but it depends on the needs of the other 3 teams in front of you. If it's Houston, they may be in the market for a quarterback. They definitely will be. If it's the Jets, they probably won't be. So you're right. It just kind of depends on how it bounces, and it depends on who the projected number 1 pick next year is going to be. I haven't even heard who that might be at this point, as far as a quarterback. But anyway, all right. Well, that's our NFC. So I think we have an agreement that we're looking at Green Bay, Minnesota, Chicago, and Detroit.
Yep.
All right.
Sorry, Chicago. I tried to be faithful, but I had to back away from it.
I mean, yeah, they did it to themselves. Sorry. I just want to say sorry, Khalil Mack. You deserve better. So now we're looking at our final division, the AFC South. And it's a potential 2-headed monster division where you have Tennessee Titans, who, I mean, this went down to the wire last year. Let's not forget. This was, hold on, let me pull it up. This was a team that they did win their division, but it was barely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Indianapolis Colts, took them all the way to the end. Yeah. They both ended up at 11-5. So that was a very, very strong division. That was with Phillip Rivers leading the Colts. Houston finished 4-12, and of course Jacksonville finished 1-15. So very top-heavy division with 2 teams battling it out. I'm gonna be honest with you. I kind of expect a lot more of the same. As a matter of fact, I kind of see the order ending up the same. Tennessee, Indianapolis, Houston, and Jacksonville. Well, how do you before I get into Tennessee, Houston, Jacksonville playing out for the last spot? Do you see Urban Meyer having a lot of first season success with Trevor Lawrence?
Not a lot of first season success. I think they will finish 3rd, just in part due to Houston just being an absolute disaster.
Mess. Yeah.
They are
I
a
agree with you.
mess right now.
Yeah, I'm going to give Jacksonville probably the third and Houston the last. One, because of coaching. Two, because again, when you talk, Houston has lost so much aside from their starting quarterback. I don't see it. But let's look at Tennessee real quick first. So, of course, you got Ryan Tannehill coming back to lead. Now they're a little skimpy on quarterback too. But they both been vaccinated. You got Logan Woodside, who I don't know who that is, um, as his backup. But then you've got at running back, Mama, that man, that bad, bad, bad man. Mama, why he do him like that? Derrick Henry. That is a beast. Last year, I saw this cat do things to people. Josh Norman, bruh, he took you airborne with one arm. With one arm. He did things to you that he shouldn't do. He only ran it for 378 times for 2,027 yards.
2,000.
He had 17 touchdowns. He had 17 touchdowns, which is almost as many as Jared Goff had throwing. So
we got running backs out here trying to eclipse the 1,000-yard mark, and here this beast, this animal, this dude with a license plate on his butt has 2,000 yards.
That's crazy. It's just crazy to even just look at that stat and read. And by the way, at a 5.44 average yards per carry.
When you see a running back with 5.4 yards per carry, that means a lot of linebackers are tackling him with their eyes closed, bro.
They might as well, because you don't want to see what he does to you.
No.
Linebackers, here's my suggestion. If you running and you happen to look up and you see number 22 coming at you full speed, please make a business decision. Get out the way. Look, there's two letters you don't want beside your name. That's IR. If Derrick Henry is running at you full speed, you may see them two letters. Oh my God. Oh God, he's a man. He's fun to watch. He really is. It don't matter if it's 3rd and 19. If you got Derrick Henry back there, that might be a touchdown. I'm just saying. And so what you want to know is, okay, the team finished first last year. Did they do anything to get better? Well, absolutely. I would say they brought back AJ Brown, and they also have a sidekick for him now in Julio Jones from Atlanta.
If that dude is healthy, man, they basically have the Space Jams version in football for wide receivers. Just two monsters at wide receiver.
Monstars, yeah.
Monster at the wide receiver position, and then another monster in the daggone running back that they have. I mean,
Julio definitely had a down year because he was injury riddled last year. But here's the thing: even injury riddled, this man had 51 catches for 771 yards. Okay, that's not a lot of yards for a receiver. I understand that. He only had 3 touchdowns, but he had 15.1 yard average.
It's Julio Jones. He didn't get no shorter. He didn't get any
he's
less
6'3",
stronger.
220.
Yep, you put him out there with AJ Brown. That is defensive matchup problems.
Because you can't double team him. Who you gonna double team?
Who you gonna double? Because you got to keep somebody in the box because of that beast they got in the backfield.
Exactly.
So you're gonna get murdered. You're gonna get murdered either way.
If you put 8 in that box and you got Julio on one side and AJ Brown on the other, good night.
Problems.
Tannehill gonna take the top off. It's over.
One of them's gonna beat you.
It's over.
One of them's gonna beat you.
So I think we both agree that Tennessee is going to be number 1. The only reason that I don't see Indianapolis, I see Indy by default getting number 2, just because of the mess that is Jacksonville and Houston.
Right.
And they haven't figured out quarterback. Now, here's the crazy thing. Their starter is walk it to him Carson Wentz. followed by Jacob Eason as the backup. I don't know who that is. Carson, I don't think has gotten vaccinated, so that's an issue. And then their third quarterback, Sam Ellinger, is on injured reserve.
Mm-hmm.
So they're thin. They're one cough away from Jacob Eason starting. Then they got decent running backs. They got Jonathan Taylor, Naeem Hines, and then they got Marlon Mack, who's actually slated as the third receiver. Marlon Mack, when healthy and last seen, is actually a pretty good beast as a running back.
Yeah, those are three good backs running deep right there.
The problem again is if you end up behind in a bunch of these games, these guys can't run you back into the game. Then you have to start depending on Carson and his arm. I know Frank Reich is a good coach for Carson. They seem to work very well together. We'll see how that works out. But they've also got some other receiver issues. T.Y. Hilton had an injury too. I think it was a spine injury or something like that. That's going to come out for the first 8 games of the season.
Yeah.
So then you've got Michael Pittman Jr., who is definitely a good one. You got Zach Pascal, who's okay as well. I don't know who Paris Campbell is, but I know who Jack Doyle is at tight end.
Oh yeah, Paris Campbell's pretty decent too. So even without Ty being there, they got 3 good wide receivers.
Ty is like 93 years old.
Yeah,
it seems like it. I just looked up. Ty is only 31. He's just been around for a long time. 9 years. Okay.
Yeah.
Golly. I mean, he's played with Peyton. He's played with Luck. Man, okay. He's been around for a minute.
That's why he feels so old.
Right, because you've seen him with other quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I mean, what was Edge still playing? Was Edrin still running?
I
don't remember.
I don't think so. I'm gonna say no.
Maybe he was right before that, but yeah, it was.
Yeah, I'm hoping not.
Yeah, because that's just crazy. But yeah, he seems old. So anyway, I just think by default, Indy's going to get it regardless of the quarterback play, just because of the running backs and everything else. When I look at their schedule, it's got some zingers in there, but they also got some teams they can feast on. Of course, they got Jacksonville twice a year. They got Houston twice a year. So that'll at least give them 4 wins right there. But they got some big ones too. They got Tampa in the second half of the season, as well as Buffalo. They got the Raiders second game to last. They got New England in there, which is not going to be a sleeper. I think New England in week 15 is going to be a whole lot different than New England in week 2 or 3. They're only going to get better. They got Baltimore in week 5. They got Tennessee in week 3. They got the Rams week 2. They open up at Seattle. So the very first 4 or 5 games of their schedule of the season is really going to tell you a lot about who this team is.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. The problem is that the other 2 under them are just so bad.
That's it.
It's going to prop them up. Do I see them winning 11 games this year? No.
No, probably not.
I don't.
I could get with 10 wins with them.
I can get with 10.
Yep.
Yeah, they're going to be competitive in a lot of games, and some of it's just going to be the way the ball bounces. Right. But yeah, I think just by default they're going to end up at second. The Jacksonville Jaguars are going to start Trevor Lawrence at quarterback. So Sunshine comes to the NFL. And CJ Beathard is going to be his backup. I'm actually okay with CJ Beathard being his backup. He's been in the league. He's played at San Fran. He's been around. Trevor's not in any threat of his position, but if he does get hurt, if he gets hit in the head and needs to come out for a series, CJ Beathard is not, the worst thing that could happen to you. Still Ben DiNucci out there. And Will Grier. So I think that they'll be okay with that. They've got James Robinson as a running back. Carlos Hyde is backing him up. The worst thing that happened to them at running back is that Etienne is on injured reserve.
Lost for the season. Yeah.
Lost for the season.
That one really hurts.
Now that would have been wild to see that out there. And then they've got DJ Shark Jr. as a receiver, Marvin Jones Jr., who we were just talking about from Detroit. And then they've got somebody named LaVisca Chenault Jr. Tavon Austin was going to be a backup receiver, but he's out injured reserve too. Then you got some good, decent tight ends, Chris Manhertz and James O'Shaughnessy. Not big name tight ends, but just your reliable guys that go out. But overall, Jacksonville won one game last year. Here's the good news, Jacksonville fans. I think you'll win more than one game this year.
Yeah. They'll win more than one game. They're going to take their lumps along the way.
Yeah.
You got Urban Meyer learning his first ropes as an NFL head coach. You got Sunshine with his quarterback. Jacksonville does have a pretty good defense, pretty good young defense to kind of stand on. They got C.J. Henderson in that secondary, and they went and got Shaquille Griffin from the Seahawks to go along with them. They did lose Joe Schobert, which is a very good middle linebacker, to my Steelers. Thank you, Jacksonville. But just overall, this feels like a lot of average with them. They are going to benefit from being in the same division as Houston, but I don't think that they have the talent to catch Indianapolis ahead of them, and definitely don't have the talent to stay with Tennessee. So
that's going to be a long time before they get to that point. But
the
good news is they play Houston twice, so you potentially can win 2 games. And then they also have Atlanta on their schedule. So there's a possibility, I ain't saying. There's a possibility. You got 3 right there. The rest of the schedule, not so much. Well, Miami's on there too. That's a possibility. It's actually being played on my mom's birthday, October the 17th. See? And my mom's watching, so see, I remembered your birthday. Yeah, I just haven't looked down and it says she's watching. So hi there. Glad you're watching. Happy birthday on the 17th. But yeah, so I think they're going to benefit just from that, but that's just about it. And then looking last but not least, well, definitely least actually, at the Houston Texans, Tyrod Taylor is going to be their starting quarterback with Davis Mills as the backup. Third quarterback right now listed is Deshaun. Don't touch me 22 times, Watson. Mark Ingram, last seen in Baltimore, is going to be their running back. Yeah, and then Philip Lindsay, last seen in Denver, is going to be the backup running back. And David Johnson, last seen in Houston, is going to be the third running back. So they got rid of Duke Johnson, but they got David. And Rex Burkhead is the fourth running back. Oh, okay. Brandon Cooks is still hanging in there as a receiver. They've got Chris Conley as another receiver and Danny Amendola as a receiver. Anthony Miller is going to start third spot receiver with Andre Roberts backing him up. They've got tight ends Jordan Atkins and Farrell Brown as their tight ends. Laramie Tunsil is going to be back at left tackle. It's just that they got too many missing pieces. Quarterback was definitely a big blow, but remember, even with $40 million a year Deshaun Watson, they only won 4 games last year. Some of them games just came, and a lot of Deshaun's yards were like Dak Prescott's yards. You're behind in games, and he's throwing all over the place to try to at least give him a chance to come back. They did that a lot. How do I know? Because he was my starter in fantasy last year. And that's really how I got a lot of points off Deshaun Watson was I knew once they got down so much, they weren't going to hand the ball off to Duke or David. And that's exactly what happened. Brandon Cooks was actually one of my receivers. So he benefited a lot of times, some 30 and 40 point fantasy points in some of these weeks. So they did their thing, but it still wasn't enough to move anything. When you look at it last year, Deshaun did pass for 4,800 yards. He passed for 4,800 yards, threw 33 touchdowns and only 7 interceptions, and they still only won 4 games.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's Aaron Rodgers numbers.
Reading in between those numbers, though, I mean, organization, front office means a lot to these players, and
correct,
and their ability to stay where they're at. You're just looking at the floodgates being open in Houston right now. A lot of star players wanting out. Deshaun wants out. JJ got the hell out. Will Fuller wanted out.
Yep.
Nobody wants to be
D-Hop got traded.
D-Hop wanted out. So nobody wants to be in that organization right now. And a lot of that bad culture from the front office just rolls right on down and off to the players on the field, man. So you might get some players that have some superb numbers, but the overall team itself is not something that wants to play for that type of organization right now when you got an owner that's coming out and saying some of the things that he has said. So Houston, unfortunately, scraping the bottom. They got a long way to go up. Kind of right there with the Jets, kind of right there in the same playing field with the Detroit Lions. It's going to be a long, long way.
The good thing is that if they play their cards right and they end up with the number 1 pick, then they have a chance at a quarterback. Obviously, the Deshaun Watson thing is just basically coming to an end unceremoniously.
He will not be there next year. No,
he's not going to be there next year. He did everything he was supposed to do by showing up, so he didn't get fined and everything like that. I don't know how much of a distraction that is to the team, but it's definitely a distraction for the organization. And when you're trying to sit there and sign veterans to come play on your team, who's going to want to come play with you when you got that much chaos going on at your organization?
Exactly right.
Nobody want to play there.
No, exactly right. And here's the thing, too. I mean, you got Deshaun Watson. You're not making a decision on what you're going to do with him. You're putting on this front to the fans, trying to sell tickets like, oh, we still have Watson on our roster, knowing damn well this man is not going to play for you. Mm-hmm. That's kind of lying to the fans, man. They come out the other day and make the announcement, oh, Tyrod Taylor is going to be our starting quarterback. Really? Really? Like, we didn't know that? Come on.
Yeah, you didn't really have to make that announcement.
Do better, man. That's all I'm saying. Do better.
Yeah, you got to do better. You got to do better. So yeah, that's a wrap for them. All right. So again, we agreed that our pecking order was going to be Tennessee, Indianapolis, Jacksonville, and Houston. Well, it is that time, y'all, where we're going to come up with who our pick should be. Oh, I'm sorry, not for the AFC South. Oh, I got the wrong one. Let me try it again. Who our AFC champ is going to be? Who do you have after it's all said and done is going to take it to the AFC, that's going to win the AFC this year?
Oh, man. So let me do some reviewing here. I think I got in the AFC East, I think I got the Patriots picked to win. No, the Bills are going to win that division.
Mm-hmm.
I got the Browns winning the AFC North. In the West, it's all about Kansas City. And in the South, it's going to be Tennessee. So that's 4 teams right there. Your 4 division winners. Wild cards, I'm going to hope my Steelers get one of those wild card positions. I'm going to say maybe the Colts get another wild card position. And the Patriots get the 7th. After all of that shakes out, I see the Buffalo Bills going all the way to the Super Bowl this
year. Okay. You see them knocking out. So basically, you got Buffalo knocking out Kansas City, probably.
Yeah, I don't have Kansas City making it to the Super Bowl for a 3rd consecutive year. I know I doubted them last year.
They're gonna. Do you think they're gonna? So who do you think is gonna have the overall number 1 in the AFC?
Overall number 1 is probably going to belong to Kansas City. They're going to probably have the home field advantage.
So they'll get the first round bye because the number 1 gets the first round bye, and then the other 6 teams have to play.
Yeah,
Wild
yeah,
card.
yeah.
Okay.
Just think
Okay.
Buffalo has done enough during the off season to fix some of those errors that they have. Kansas City is going to be relying on good health for a third straight year to get all the way to the Super Bowl. We don't always have that in the NFL. Um, when is the last time we saw a team make it to three straight Super Bowls? What was it? Buffalo back in the 90s? So I don't know. I don't know. I just don't see them getting there again. I'm going Buffalo.
Okay, that's fair. I'm actually going to pick. Um, so much pressure on me for this one. I'm going to actually pick. I cannot believe I'm going to say this. I think Buffalo and Kansas City are going to be in the mix. I think Tennessee is going to be in the mix. I think Cleveland is going to be in the mix. When it all shakes out, I think we're going to be looking at Kansas City again.
Third straight time. I can't fault you, bro. They are talented. Like I
They
said
are.
before,
They
as
are.
long as you got that Kelsey in the middle, where it's a matchup nightmare. So can't
Could
fault you
be.
for the Chiefs on that
All
one.
right. Well, let's roll it over to the other side. Who we look? What we looking like for the NFC?
Oh man,
Cowboys.
NFC. Yeah, I got the Cowboys coming out of the East or the least, whatever you want to call it.
Definitely
Of
the
course, the,
least.
the Bucks are going to dominate the South. Let's put that out there.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the Packers are going to run away with the North. And then the West, we got San Francisco. No, I got the Rams or San Francisco. I can't remember which. The other two wild cards are probably going to be, fingers crossed, my Panthers. Um,
That would be nice.
that would be nice, right? And probably the Seahawks. Seahawks. We'll see. After all of that shakes out, man, this is a hard one too, man. I think you're looking at an NFC title game with the Packers versus Packers versus the Buccaneers. And I see the Bucks getting right back to the Super Bowl. I just see the Bucks getting right back to the Super Bowl. They have
I
done
do
absolutely
too.
nothing to knock them out, man.
All right, just to let you know for what you picked for. Do I have your West picks? Your West picks you did Chiefs, Chargers, Raiders, Broncos. NFC West, you did 49ers, Rams, Seahawks, and Cards.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll record the other ones too, just so we have the record. Okay, so listen, I'm gonna go ahead and just agree with you. I got the same NFC conference championship between Green Bay and Tampa Bay. And as much as I believe that this is still going to be a better game, it's not going to come down to like it did the last time. I still think Tampa, you got Antonio Brown finding the fountain of youth. You got three tight end studs. You got Chris Godwin. You got Mike Evans. You got
Stacked.
Fournette. You got Ronald Jones. And now you done added Giovanni Bernard.
Stacked. Stacked.
You brought all your defense back.
Right.
Shaq
You didn't
Barrett
even get to the
and
defense.
them boys back there. That's why I don't know if Dak might want to just go ahead and start limping tonight and practice so that when the coach see him, they be like, oh, Dak, you all right? Oh, let's just hold you out of this game. Yeah, I appreciate that, coach. Dak, fake an injury, dog. Because Shaq Barrett and them boys going to come for you tomorrow. They're going to get you. They're going to get you alive. You're going to be running for your life. Now, I will say, I believe Dak going to throw for over 300 yards in that game.
Yeah.
And not score more than 10 points. Because you can go from 120 to the other 20 and then end up getting stalled out because when the field gets shorter, that's going to be the problem. CeeDee Lamb can fly, but can he create room inside of a short field? I don't know. Can Amari Cooper get open in a short field? Yeah, they can get you a bunch of yards between the 20 and the 20. I ain't saying that. You're going to get some 20-yard throws easily. But when you're sitting on the 13-yard line and you got that defense licking their chops at you because they know that they can jam the receiver for the first 5 yards. I don't know if being CeeDee Lamb, Mike Gallup, and Amari Cooper going to really help you in this, bro. I see what Zeke got. If they bottle Zeke up, and he'll tell you, bro. So
you ever seen the Wizard of Oz or the Wiz when they caught the scarecrow and they pinned him down to the ground and started picking all the straw up out of him? That's gonna be Dak tomorrow night, man.
They're gonna be picking a lot off him. He gonna have to have gain in that cleaning them uniforms, get all that green out of it. He gonna be on the ground. But yeah. So anyway, so I'm picking NFC. Definitely, we're gonna be looking at Kansas City. I'm saying Kansas City and Tampa. You saying Buffalo and Tampa. With that said, who are you picking to win it all?
As much as it makes me puke in my mouth, as much as I hate this dude, as arrogant as this guy is, as many times as he stomped out my Steeler dreams of an AFC title, as many times as he's ended my Carolina Panthers' hope of a Super Bowl.
Yes, Lord.
I got this dude with an 8th ring. I don't even know what to say. I hate it. I hate it. But I don't see nobody stopping it.
I don't either. I mean, honestly, I tried to look at this every way I could because, trust me, when I made the pick last year, this is coming from somebody that is not necessarily a Tom Brady fan. Now, I respect Tom Brady because to do what he does and to do it as long as he does with the consistency that he has, and now the fact that he did it without Bill Belichick, because they were so tied together for so long that you had to question who was more to give the credit to when it came to their success and everything. Well, I mean, we can say whatever we want about him, but Tom Brady got to be the GOAT. I mean, that can be a conversation on one of these shows about, the GOATs and all that kind of stuff. But I'm just typing here Super Bowl pick too. So Brian, I actually picked Tampa Bay and KC, and random pick Buffalo and Tampa Bay, and champ Brian picks TB, and on the record, Randall has picked TB. All right, got all of our picks loaded in there, man. I know it hurt you. It hurt you to your soul. I know it did. But that makes a big man out of you. It really does. Now, I just don't see anything slowing them down. They've had a whole off season to work together. And to me, that just makes them even more dangerous. And the same thing for Kansas City is why I see that. I do see Buffalo taking another step forward. I hope the money doesn't change Josh Allen. I hope he looks at that money and that just inspires him to continue his upward swing. I see the LA Rams taking a step forward. I see San Francisco taking a step forward. I don't know about Seattle. This is going to be a down year for them, I believe. I see Green Bay taking a step forward. I see Aaron Rodgers having some motivation that on his way out, he can tell them to kiss my black. Oh, I'm sorry. He ain't black. Kiss his tail as he going out the door. So I can see all of those things happening. But at the end of the day, still come to the inevitable rematch. Now, this is going to say a lot about Patrick Mahomes being able to get to the game. He's going to be like the new Buffalo, where they keep going to the Super Bowl and coming home with an L. So at some point, that's going to start to tarnish his career. But we'll have plenty of time to talk about that. We have plenty of time next week. We'll review the first week of the NFL, starting off with the Dallas Cowboys and Tampa Bay Buccaneers tomorrow on prime time. And then we'll get the season fully started on Sunday. And then we'll have our Monday night game on Monday. We'll do our show next Wednesday. We'll talk about all of that, all the news around the NFL. If you want to join us for any of that talk and discussion, you want to come on the show, please feel free to do so. Want to leave us a comment in there, then we will certainly look at that as well. Rand, you got any final thoughts?
Let's do it, man. It's been a long spring, a long summer, and plus last year we had COVID with no fans. I am looking big time forward to tomorrow night.
Man, I am excited. I'm excited. This is it, y'all. This is what we've been waiting for. Stay tuned with us throughout the season so we can go through this ride together. Hopefully we can get the same kind of season we had last year where it started on time and it ended on time. We had a good Super Bowl. This year we got the fans. I'm going to some games myself this year, I hope, and look forward to it. Thanks again to my co-host, Mr. Randall Hargrove. I am Brian Parker, Head Sports, and we are out of here.